For 12 years, Miguel Santos pushed a dolly through the back corridors of the Silver Mirage Casino in Las Vegas. Tomatoes, frozen chicken, industrial soap, the things nobody thinks about when they're losing money at blackjack. Security guards waved him through without a second glance. Cameras recorded him. Logs documented every delivery. He was part of the furniture, invisible in the way that working people become when you see them every single day. But on April 17th, 2021, at exactly 4:54 in the morning, Miguel didn't deliver vegetables. He walked out with $52 million in cash, and nobody noticed until the sun came up. Before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe. Drop your city in the comments. I'm always curious where you're watching from. And hit hype to boost this story. Now let's get into it. Miguel Santos wasn't supposed to be interesting. That was the whole point. Rosa Medina, his neighbor, remembered him as the quietest person in the apartment building. Miguel. Oh, he was so quiet. Always said hello, you know. Always working. I'd see him leaving at 4 in the morning, coming back at 7. Then he'd sleep a few hours and leave again for his night shift. 2 jobs, always 2 jobs. 45 years old, immigrant from Guatemala. Lived in a cramped 2-room apartment in East Las Vegas with his 17-year-old daughter, Sophia. The rent was $1,200 a month, and he was always exactly 3 days early with payment. Detective Sarah Chen from Las Vegas Metro Police would later pull his records during the investigation. When we finally identified him as a suspect, and I'm talking months into the investigation, we pulled his records. Clean, not even a parking ticket. He'd been in the country 23 years, worked every day of it. The profile we built looked like the most law-abiding person you could imagine. Miguel's morning job was with Supreme Foods Distribution, a company that serviced half the casinos on the Strip. His route included the Silver Mirage, Caesar's Palace, the Bellagio, and 4 smaller properties. Every morning at 4:30 a.m., he'd back his delivery truck up to the Silver Mirage loading dock. Badge scan, quick nod to security, dolly loaded with whatever the kitchen needed that day. In, out, 20 minutes. Like clockwork. Frank DeLuca, the former Silver Mirage security supervisor, explained the reasoning behind their relaxed vendor protocols. We had protocols. Every vendor gets scanned in, logged, escorted if they're going beyond the loading area. But delivery guys, they're there every day. You can't treat your regular vendors like criminals. You'd spend 8 hours a day doing nothing but watching people bring you lettuce. That assumption, that familiarity equals safety, was the first crack in the armor. Miguel noticed it on his 3rd week on the job. The thing about doing the same route for 12 years is that you stop seeing your job. You start seeing patterns, weaknesses, the gaps between what's supposed to happen and what actually happens. Miguel saw 3 things that nobody else connected. First, every morning at 4:55 a.m., security shift change. Old guards finishing paperwork, new guards getting briefed. For exactly 5 minutes, the loading dock had split attention, not abandoned, just distracted. Second, the cash transport route. Twice a night, carts filled with money rolled from the counting room to the main vault. The route passed directly through the service corridor, the same hallway Miguel used to bring in supplies. The timing was rigid, predictable. You could set your watch by it. And third, this was the big one. The casino used identical gray plastic crates for everything. Food supplies, cleaning products, linens, and cash transport. Same size, same manufacturer, same color. The only difference? Cash crates had electronic security seals, tamper-evident tags that logged every movement. But here's the beautiful part. They looked exactly like the regular supply crates when you weren't standing right next to them. Dr. Amanda Torres, a security consultant, later analyzed this vulnerability. This is what we call security through standardization. The casino thought they were being efficient. One supplier, one container system, easy to manage. But efficiency in one area often creates vulnerability in another. Miguel recognized something crucial. The human brain stops differentiating between identical objects when context suggests they're all the same thing. In October 2020, something changed in Miguel's life. His daughter Sophia got accepted to Stanford. Full academic scholarship, tuition covered. But room and board, books, living expenses? That was still $90,000 over 4 years. Miguel was making $32,000 a year, combined, from both jobs. Sophia, speaking years later with her face obscured and voice altered, recalled the conversation. I told him I could defer, take a gap year, work, save money. He just looked at me and said, "You're going, I'll figure it out." I thought he meant he'd take a third job. I never imagined. November 2020, Miguel starts buying things. Not expensive things, weird things. A magnetic field detector from an electronic surplus store. $28. 4 heavy-duty plastic crates from a liquidation warehouse. Identical to the casino supply containers. $60. A handheld RFID disruptor, the kind used by security researchers to test electronic locks. $43 on a gray market website. He watches YouTube videos about false bottom construction, practices at home with cardboard and wood glue. Sophia thinks he's building storage for the apartment. Carlos Huang, Miguel's former co-worker, remembered a seemingly innocent conversation. Miguel asked me once about the timing of the cash runs. Real casual, like he was just curious. I told him they come through around 4:50, just before we're about to switch shifts. He nodded and never brought it up again. I didn't think anything of it until the FBI showed me the interview transcript. For 5 months, Miguel conducted reconnaissance without anyone knowing that's what it was. He timed the security shift changes with a stopwatch in his pocket. He memorized which guards were thorough and which were lazy. He learned that camera 17 in the service corridor rotated on a 40-second cycle and had a 3-second blind spot when it swiveled from the loading dock to the counting room hallway. He discovered that the electronic seals on cash crates could be temporarily frozen, not disabled, just paused, by creating a localized electromagnetic pulse. 3 seconds. No permanent damage. No alerts. 3 seconds was enough. April 16th, 2021. Miguel finishes his evening shift at the warehouse. Goes home. Eats dinner with Sophia, leftover chicken and rice. Watches half an episode of a cooking show. At 11 p.m., he tells her he's going to bed early. Big delivery day tomorrow. He doesn't sleep. Instead, he sits at his small kitchen table and goes through the plan one more time. FBI Special Agent David Martinez would later find a notebook during the arrest. We found a notebook later, handwritten timeline down to the second, guard positions, camera angles, contingency plans if the cash cart was early or late. This wasn't impulsive. This was a military operation planned by a guy who never served a day in the military. 4:17 a.m., Miguel drives his truck to the Supreme Foods Depot, loads his legitimate deliveries, produced for the Mirage, frozen meats for Caesars, and 4 special crates marked for Silver Mirage's kitchen storage. Those 4 crates have false bottoms. The top layer is filled with industrial-sized tomato sauce cans. Underneath, empty space. Waiting. 4:42 a.m. Miguel arrives at the Silver Mirage loading dock. Early, but not suspiciously early. He's often early. Marcus Webb was the security guard on duty that morning. He pulled up, did the badge scan, and I waved him through. Same as always. He said, "Morning, Marcus." And I said, "Morning, Miguel." That's it. That's the whole conversation. I've replayed it in my head 1,000 times looking for something I missed. 4:49 a.m. Miguel unloads the first batch of deliveries, takes them to the kitchen, returns to his truck. 4:51 a.m. He loads the 4 special crates onto his dolly, checks his watch. 4:53 a.m. He enters the service corridor, the one that connects the loading dock to the counting room hallway. His heart is hammering, but his hands are steady. Camera 17 begins its rotation. Miguel counts in his head. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. At the far end of the corridor, he hears wheels. The cash cart, right on schedule. 2 guards escort it. Miguel recognizes them both. Davis and Kumar. Davis is thorough. Kumar is not. 4:54 a.m., exactly 1 minute before shift change chaos begins, Miguel pushes his dolly forward, pretends to struggle with the weight of the crates. The hallway is narrow here, barely room for 2 people to pass. The cash cart approaches. "Morning," Davis says. "Morning, sorry. These tomato crates are heavier than they look," Miguel replies. Miguel positions himself directly beside the cash cart, His dolly is parallel to it. From any camera angle, it looks like he's simply maneuvering around an obstacle. His right hand reaches into his pocket, clicks the RFID disruptor, a tiny electromagnetic pulse. Invisible, silent. The electronic seal on the cash crate freezes. No alarm, no red light. Just 3 seconds of suspended monitoring. Miguel's left hand lifts the lid of the cash container. His right hand reaches in, grabs a bundle of cash, drops it into his open crate. The false bottom swallows it. Lift, drop, lift, drop. He's practiced this motion 800 times in his apartment. 3 seconds, 4 bundles, approximately $13 million per bundle. The seal reactivates. The lid closes. The cart rolls on. "You good, man?" Kumar asks. "Yeah, all good. Have a good shift." The entire exchange takes 11 seconds. Miguel continues down the corridor like nothing happened, delivers his crates to the kitchen storage area. The kitchen staff doesn't check them. They never do. 4:57 a.m. He returns to his truck. The 4 crates, now containing $52 million in cash, are loaded in the back, mixed with empty produce boxes. 4:59 a.m. Shift change begins. The loading dock is chaos. Guards swapping posts, paperwork being transferred. Radio chatter. Miguel signs the departure log, drives away. Here's where Miguel did something brilliant. He didn't run. Running creates suspicion, disrupts patterns, makes people remember you. Instead, Miguel finished his route. Jenny Pascal worked as the receiving manager at Caesar's Palace. He showed up at 5:22. Normal time. Dropped off the meat delivery, asked how my kids were doing. Completely normal. We found out later he had $50 million in his truck while we were talking about my son's soccer game. Miguel completes 3 more deliveries, returns to the depot at 6:40 a.m., parks the truck, clocks out, gets in his personal car, a 15-year-old Honda Civic, and drives home. Arrives at 7:10 a.m. Sophia's getting ready for school. I remember he made me breakfast that morning. Scrambled eggs. He seemed tired, but he always seemed tired. I asked if he was okay, and he said, "I'm perfect, mija. Everything's going to be okay now." I thought he was just being dad. At 7:45 a.m., Sophia leaves for school. At 8:03 a.m., Miguel receives a text message from his supervisor. "Did you finish the Mirage delivery? They're saying they're short some inventory." Miguel responds, "Yeah, dropped everything off. Check with kitchen storage, maybe?" At 8:14 a.m., his phone rings. "Miguel, weird question. Did you see anything unusual at the Mirage this morning?" His supervisor asks. "Unusual how?" "Security's asking about the service corridor around 5 a.m. Were you in that area?" "Yeah, I used that hallway to get to the kitchen." "Why?" "They think something went missing. Can you come back to the depot? They might want to check the truck." Miguel's pulse spikes, but his voice stays calm. "Of course, I can be there in 30 minutes. He hangs up, walks to his bedroom closet, opens a false panel he installed 3 months ago. Inside, 4 waterproof duffel bags. Empty, waiting. Miguel has exactly 30 minutes. This is where most thieves fail. They panic. They improvise. They make mistakes. Miguel doesn't panic. He already has a plan for this exact scenario. 3 months earlier, he rented a storage unit in Henderson under a fake name, paid cash for 6 months up front. The unit contains a second vehicle, a white panel van purchased from a private seller. No dealership, no financing, no paper trail. Miguel drives his Civic to the storage unit, transfers the cash from his apartment to the van, leaves the Civic in the unit. At 8:52 a.m., he's driving the van to the Supreme Foods depot. He never goes inside. Instead, he texts his supervisor. "Sorry, got stopped by police. Broken taillight. Going to be late." The supervisor responds, "NP, come in when you can." Miguel drives to Pahrump, Nevada, 90 minutes west, a small town where nobody knows him. He's rented a workshop space here under another fake name, paid for a year in advance. Cash. Inside the workshop, a false wall he built over the course of 6 weekends. Miguel loads the cash inside, seals the wall, cleans everything, leaves, returns to Las Vegas at 2:30 p.m., drives his van to a used car lot, sells it for $4,000. Cash. Takes an Uber back to Henderson, gets his Civic from the storage unit, drives back to the depot, arrives at 3:45 p.m. His supervisor is confused but not suspicious. Dude, where have you been? Casino security wanted to talk to you. Cop took forever writing the ticket. Then I had to get the taillight fixed. What did security want? Something about the corridor this morning. They're reviewing footage. I think they're just covering their ass for some audit. Miguel nods. Offers to show security his truck. They decline. The truck's been sitting in the depot all day, clearly empty. At 4 p.m., Miguel goes home. At 6:12 p.m., the Silver Mirage counting room supervisor notices a discrepancy. $52 million is missing. 6:12 p.m., Silver Mirage counting room supervisor. Janet Kowalski runs the morning reconciliation. She's been doing this job for 14 years. The numbers always balance, always, not today. I ran it 3 times, thought the computer was glitching. Then I counted manually. $52,347,000, just gone. Within hours, the FBI takes over. Special Agent David Martinez runs the task force. In 20 years with the Bureau, I've never seen this much money vanish without a trace. Usually there's evidence. Forced locks, disabled cameras, inside conspiracies. This? Nothing. Like the cash just evaporated. The first 48 hours focus on obvious suspects. Counting room employees, transport staff. Everyone passes polygraphs. Financial records are clean. The security footage shows the cart leaving the counting room, 2 guards escorting it, traveling toward the vault. Everything looks normal. Agent Martinez reviews the transport logs. Cash left the gaming floor at 4:41 a.m. Arrived at the vault at 4:58 a.m. 17 minutes, standard time. But somewhere in those 17 minutes, $52 million disappeared. The electronic seal logs reveal something crucial. The seal was breached for exactly 3.2 seconds at 4:54 a.m. in the service corridor. They initially think it's a glitch, but when they pull the footage from that corridor, they find camera 17, the one that rotates on a 40-second cycle. At 4:54:03 a.m., the camera is mid-rotation, pointed at the loading dock. At 4:54:14 a.m., it completes its rotation, pointed at the counting room hallway. 11 seconds of blind spot. In those 11 seconds, someone accessed that cart, took the money, and vanished. But who? And how did they know about the camera rotation? The FBI expands the investigation. They interview every person in the building that morning. Kitchen staff, cleaning crews, maintenance workers, and vendors. Miguel Santos is on the list, but he's number 47 out of 62 vendors who had access that week. May 2021, 6 weeks into the investigation, Miguel is finally called in for routine questions. The interview takes place in a small room at the FBI field office. Miguel sits across from Agent Martinez and Detective Chen. His heart pounds, but his voice stays steady. He's rehearsed this 1,000 times. The questions come. What time did you arrive? What did you deliver? Did you see anyone in the service corridor? Miguel answers each one calmly. Yes, he used that hallway. Yes, he saw the guards with a cart. No, he didn't notice anything unusual. They were just guards doing their job. He squeezed past with his dolly, said good morning. That was it. Agent Martinez watches his body language. Steady eye contact, no fidgeting, no signs of deception. After 32 minutes, Miguel is released. He walks to his car, drives 3 blocks, and pulls over. His hands shake so badly he can barely grip the steering wheel. They know. They have to know, he whispers to himself. But they don't. Years later, Agent Martinez reflects, we had nothing on him. Clean background, consistent story, no financial red flags at that point. He was just another vendor who happened to be there that morning. We let him go and moved on to what we thought were stronger leads. June 2021. The investigation pivots to digital forensics. Maybe someone hacked the electronic seals. Cybersecurity experts analyze the seal's code, run penetration tests. Dr. Kevin Huang concludes, the seals were secure, no backdoors, no remote vulnerabilities. If someone disabled that seal, they did it with a physical device, an RFID disruptor or electromagnetic pulse generator. July 2021. FBI agents canvass electronics stores, surplus warehouses, online marketplaces. They find 47 purchases of RFID disruptors in the Las Vegas area alone. Security researchers, hobbyists, locksmiths. It's a dead end. August 2021. The case goes cold. The Silver Mirage files a $52 million insurance claim. The FBI reduces the task force from 12 agents to 3. Miguel Santos continues his delivery route every morning at 4:30 a.m. Badge scan, quick nod to security, in and out. Nobody looks at him twice. By December 2021, the investigation is functionally over. The file stays open, but nobody's actively working it. $52 million has vanished into thin air, and the man who took it is delivering tomatoes at 4:30 in the morning. Free. Miguel doesn't touch the money for 4 months. Not a single dollar. The cash stays sealed in the false wall in Param, untouched, while Miguel continues his routine. Wake up at 3:45 a.m. Deliver produce. Come home. Sleep. Go to his night job. Repeat. He knows that sudden wealth is the easiest way to get caught. Forensic accountant Lisa Tran later analyzes his strategy. Most criminals fail at the spending phase. They steal millions and immediately buy cars, houses, jewelry. They can't help themselves. Miguel Santos showed extraordinary discipline. 4 months of sitting on $52 million without touching it? That's almost unheard of. September 2021. Sophia leaves for Stanford. Miguel drives her there personally. 16 hours in his old Honda Civic. The car's AC doesn't work. They stop at a Motel 6 in Bakersfield because it's cheap. We shared a room with 2 twin beds. He was so proud. He kept talking about how I was going to change the world. He made me promise I'd study hard and not worry about money. I asked him how we were going to afford everything, and he just said, "I've been saving. It's handled." At Stanford's move-in day, Miguel helps Sophia carry boxes up 3 flights of stairs, meets her roommate, makes small talk with other parents who arrived in BMWs and Teslas. He's wearing a $15 shirt from Walmart. Nobody suspects he's a millionaire 52 times over. "Mija, I'm so proud of you. Don't worry about anything. Just focus on your studies." "Dad, are you sure we can afford this?" "I'm sure. I've taken care of everything." He hugs her, cries in the car on the way back to Las Vegas. Not because he's sad, because he actually did it. He gave his daughter a future. Carlos Huang, his friend and former co-worker, remembers his return. Miguel came back from dropping Sophie at Stanford, and I asked him how it felt. He said, "Like I finally did something right." I thought he was talking about being a good dad. I didn't know he was talking about the biggest heist in Vegas history. October 2021. Miguel starts phase 2 of his plan, the spending phase, but carefully, methodically, invisibly. First move, he forms an LLC called Desert Horizon Investments, registers it in New Mexico, which has strict privacy laws for company ownership. The paperwork lists a registered agent, a legal service that provides anonymity for $150. Desert Horizon Investments purchases a used car lot in Henderson for $480,000. Cash offer, quick close. The seller doesn't ask questions. Cash is cash. Randy Mitchell, the former owner, remembers the transaction. Guy came in, looked around for 20 minutes, made an offer. I accepted. He paid in cashier's checks from 4 different banks. Said he'd been saving for years. I didn't care. I got my money and retired. Miguel hires a manager to run the car lot. He never shows up in person. All communication is through email and phone. On paper, he's just an investor. In reality, the car lot is a laundromat. Every car sold is a way to legitimize cash. He buys vehicles with cash from auctions, sells them for slightly more. The profit is reported. Taxes are paid. Clean money. Second move, cryptocurrency. November 2021. Bitcoin has crashed from $60,000 to $42,000. Panic in the markets. Miguel sees opportunity. He opens accounts on 17 different cryptocurrency exchanges, each account under a different name. Some use fake IDs purchased on the dark web. Others use stolen identities. He converts $2 million in cash to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and 3 smaller cryptocurrencies. James Bradford, a cryptocurrency analyst, explains the strategy. Crypto is perfect for money laundering if you're smart about it. You can move millions across borders with no banks involved. The trick is distribution. Don't put everything in one wallet. Miguel spread his crypto across so many accounts that tracking it becomes nearly impossible. Third move, real estate. December 2021. Miguel forms 3 more LLCs. Each LLC purchases a small rental property in North Las Vegas. 3 houses, $200,000 each. All distressed sales from foreclosures. He pays cash, renovates them using construction workers paid under the table, rents them out through a property management company. Monthly income, $4,000. All legitimate, all taxable. Detective Chen later examines his methods. This is where most criminals slip up. They create fake businesses but don't actually run them. Miguel's businesses were real. They generated real income, paid real taxes. That made them very hard to identify as fronts. January 2022. Miguel has successfully laundered approximately $8 million. He quits his warehouse job, tells his supervisor his back can't handle the lifting anymore. Nobody questions it. He's 46. Manual labor takes its toll. He keeps the delivery job, though. Appearances matter. And besides, there's something poetic about continuing to deliver vegetables to the casino he robbed. Frank DeLuca notes the irony. Miguel kept showing up every morning, 4:30 a.m., like clockwork. If he'd quit right after the heist, maybe we would have looked at him closer. But he didn't change anything. That's smart. February 2022. Miguel starts a small financial consulting business. Santos Financial Services helps immigrants with tax preparation, investment planning, small business formation. It's legitimate work. He's good at it. He charges reasonable rates. It's also perfect cover for his cash flow. Maria Rodriguez becomes one of his clients. Miguel helped me file my taxes, set up an IRA for retirement. He was so patient, explained everything in Spanish. I recommended him to all my friends. He seemed like he really cared about helping people. By May 2022, Miguel has clients paying him $5,000 a month in consulting fees. All legitimate income. All reported to the IRS. His lifestyle doesn't change. He still lives in the same 2-room apartment, still drives the Honda Civic, still wears cheap clothes. The only difference? He sleeps better at night. His daughter's tuition is paid, her future is secure, and nobody suspects a thing. June 2022. Miguel makes his first major purchase, a small office space for his consulting business. $85,000, paid through his LLC. He decorates it modestly. No expensive furniture, no flashy art, just a desk, some chairs, and a filing cabinet. He hangs his business license on the wall next to a photo of Sophia at Stanford. "I did it, mija. I actually did it," he whispers to himself, looking at the photo. But in the shadows, something is starting to shift. At the Silver Mirage, a new head of security has just been hired. Her name is Michelle Harding, and she doesn't like unsolved cases. April 2023, 2 years and 3 days after the heist. Michelle Harding walks into the Silver Mirage for her first day as head of security, former Secret Service, 15 years protecting presidents and dignitaries. She doesn't take the job to babysit slot machines. She takes it because she hates unsolved mysteries. Thomas Brennan, the previous security director, briefed me on the theft. $52 million vanished, no suspects, no leads. Case went cold. He basically said, "Don't worry about it. Insurance covered it. Focus on preventing the next one." I nodded and smiled, but I had no intention of letting it go. Michelle's first week, she does what nobody else bothered to do. She reviews everything, not just the obvious evidence. Everything. 600 hours of footage from April 17th, 2021. Every angle, every camera, every minute. I watch vendors making deliveries, cleaning crews mopping floors, kitchen staff prepping meals. I watch people who had nothing to do with the money, because sometimes the answer isn't in the crime itself. It's in the context around it. Day 4 of her review. 2:15 a.m. Michelle is in her office. Coffee cold, eyes burning. She's watching footage of the service corridor for the 100th time. Camera 17. The rotating camera with the 11-second blind spot. She sees the cash card enter the frame. Guards escorting it. Then the camera rotates away. 11 seconds of nothing. Camera swivels back. Cash cart continuing down the corridor. Guards walking behind it. Everything normal. Except, I noticed something. When the camera swivels back, there's a delivery driver walking away from the camera, pushing a dolly with crates. I'd seen him before in the footage, but I never paid attention. He was just there. Background noise. Michelle rewinds, watches again. The delivery driver passes the cash cart during the blind spot. When the camera returns, he's walking away. She checks the timestamp. 4:54 a.m., exactly when the electronic seal glitched. Coincidence? I pulled up footage from the loading dock. Same driver, Miguel Santos, delivered to us 5 days a week for 12 years. I thought, okay, he's a regular. But then I started tracking his movements that morning. Michelle creates a timeline. 4:42 a.m., Miguel arrives at loading dock. 4:49 a.m., Miguel unloads first batch of deliveries. 4:54 a.m., Miguel in service corridor. Passes cash cart. 5:06 a.m., Miguel returns to loading dock. 5:11 a.m., Miguel leaves the property. Nothing unusual, except for one detail. He brought in 4 large crates that morning, logged as tomato sauce for the kitchen. I pulled the kitchen storage footage, watched the staff move those crates an hour later, and that's when I saw it. On the footage, 2 kitchen workers lift one of Miguel's crates. They lift it easily, casually, like it weighs almost nothing. Michelle pulls the delivery manifest. The crates are supposed to contain industrial tomato sauce, number 10 cans. Each crate should weigh approximately 60 pounds. The workers are lifting them like they weigh 30 pounds. I had maintenance track down those crates. Took us 3 days, but we found them, still in the storage room. I weighed them myself, 32 pounds each, 28 pounds light. Michelle pulls the footage again. This time she watches Miguel loading the crates onto his dolly at the loading dock. He struggles with them, uses both hands, leans into the push. They look heavy, but when she watches him return to the loading dock after making his delivery, same crates. He's moving them differently, faster, easier. The crates were heavy when he brought them in. They were light when he took them out, which means he removed something. And the only thing in that corridor worth removing was $52 million. May 2nd, 2023. Michelle presents her findings to the FBI. Agent Martinez hasn't thought about the Silver Mirage case in a year. He listens to Michelle's briefing with skepticism until she shows him the weight discrepancy. I felt like an idiot. We'd watched that footage 100 times, never noticed the difference in how those crates were handled. Michelle caught it because she wasn't looking for the obvious. She was looking for the invisible. The FBI reopens the investigation, this time with a single focus, Miguel Santos. May 15, 2023. Financial audit begins. Miguel's tax returns show modest income. $32,000 from Supreme Foods, $12,000 from his consulting business. But when forensic accountants dig deeper, things don't add up. Lisa Tran examines the numbers. He owned 3 rental properties worth $600,000 combined, a car lot valued at $700,000, had investment accounts with approximately $2 million in cryptocurrency. The math didn't work. His reported income couldn't possibly support those assets. The FBI starts pulling threads. The LLCs, the shell companies, the investment vehicles, each layer of protection Miguel built. The FBI peels it back. Desert Horizon Investments, registered in New Mexico. Privacy laws prevent disclosure of ownership. The FBI gets a federal warrant, pierces the corporate veil. Owner, Miguel Santos. Once we connected him to the first LLC, the rest fell like dominoes. He'd built a complex network, but it was all connected. Every company led back to him. June 2023. FBI agents tracked down the storage unit in Henderson, the one Miguel rented under a fake name. Inside, a white panel van, abandoned. 2 years of dust. They run forensic tests, find microscopic traces of currency dye in the carpet, the kind of dye used to mark casino cash. The van was registered to a fake identity, but we found a fingerprint on the steering wheel. Miguel's fingerprint. He'd worn gloves everywhere else, but he slipped once. June 18, 2023. Search warrant executed on Miguel's apartment. They find the notebook, 50 pages, handwritten, detailing every step of the plan. Security shift changes, camera blind spots, timing sequences, contingency plans. Miguel's handwriting, his signature at the bottom of each page, like he was proud of it. Most criminals destroy evidence. Miguel kept a journal. I think part of him wanted credit, wanted someone to know how smart he'd been. That ego is what got him caught. They also find the RFID disruptor, hidden in a false bottom of his closet, wiped clean, but forensic analysis reveals microscopic metal fragments. The fragments match the composition of the Silver Mirage's electronic security seals. Dr. Huang examines the device. That device was specifically calibrated to interrupt the exact frequency used by the casino seals. It wasn't a general-purpose tool. It was custom-built for this job. June 29, 2023. Federal prosecutors review the evidence. The weight discrepancy, the financial trail, the notebook, the RFID disruptor, the currency die. It's enough. Prosecutor Andrea Walsh makes the decision. We had him. The physical evidence placed him at the scene with the means to commit the theft. The financial evidence showed he suddenly acquired millions in assets he couldn't legitimately afford. And the notebook? That was his confession. July 12, 2023, early morning. Sophia's home from Stanford for summer break. She's making breakfast. Miguel is reading the newspaper. His phone buzzes. Text from Rick, his supervisor at Supreme Foods. Hey man, FBI just showed up asking about you again. Everything okay? Miguel's blood runs cold. Sophia notices. Dad? You okay? You look pale. I'm fine, mija. Just work stuff. Miguel knows what's coming. He's known for months. Every time a black SUV drove past. Every time his phone rang with an unknown number. He thought he had more time. He was wrong. 9:47 a.m. Knock on the door. Miguel looks through the peephole. 3 men in FBI windbreakers. 2 Las Vegas Metro police officers behind them. Dad, who is it? Mija, I need you to stay in your room. What? Why? Please, just trust me. Stay in your room. Miguel opens the door. Miguel Santos? Yes. I'm Special Agent David Martinez, FBI. We have a warrant for your arrest in connection with the theft of $52 million from the Silver Mirage Casino. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Sophia comes out of her room, sees her father being handcuffed. Dad, what's happening? This is a mistake, right? Tell them it's a mistake. Sophia, listen to me. Everything in the filing cabinet, all the documents, give them to the lawyer. His card is in the top drawer. I love you, mija. I'm so sorry. Sorry for what? Dad. Miguel is let out of the apartment in handcuffs. Neighbors stare. Sophia is crying, demanding answers. Agent Martinez stays behind, explains to Sophia that her father is a suspect in one of the largest casino heists in history. She doesn't believe it, can't believe it, until they show her the notebook. I recognized his handwriting immediately, and I couldn't breathe. Everything made sense suddenly. The money for Stanford, the businesses he somehow started, how he always said not to worry. I thought he'd been saving. I thought he'd been working hard. I didn't know he'd been stealing. July 13, 2023. Miguel's arraignment. He's charged with grand larceny, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Bail is set at $5 million. Miguel can't make bail. He has access to millions, but it's all hidden, inaccessible without incriminating himself further. He sits in Clark County Detention Center, cell block C, waiting for trial. An interviewer visits him in prison, speaking through a phone separated by glass. Miguel, why'd you do it? You have kids? No. Then you won't understand. I watched Sophia work so hard. Straight A's, volunteering, scholarships. She did everything right. And I knew that even with the scholarship, we couldn't afford Stanford. I'd be holding her back. My daughter's brilliance would be wasted because I couldn't give her the life she deserved. So you stole $52 million? I saw an opportunity, a flaw nobody else noticed, and I thought, just once, just this one time, I could fix everything. Was it worth it? Miguel pauses for a long time. Ask me again when Sophia graduates. If she becomes the engineer she wants to be, if she changes the world like I know she can, Then maybe I'll have an answer. March 4th, 2024, Federal Courthouse, Las Vegas, United States of America versus Miguel Santos. The courtroom is packed. Sophia sits in the front row behind the defense table, wearing a Stanford sweatshirt. Her eyes are red. Miguel walks in wearing an orange jumpsuit, hands cuffed. He tries to smile at her. She doesn't smile back. Judge Catherine Morrison presides. Mr. Santos, you're charged with 1 count of grand larceny, 3 counts of money laundering, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit fraud. How do you plead? Not guilty, Your Honor. Miguel's public defender, Robert Chen, is overworked but competent. His strategy, create reasonable doubt. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the prosecution wants you to believe that my client, a delivery driver who worked 2 jobs for 23 years, masterminded one of the most sophisticated heists in Las Vegas history. They'll show you circumstantial evidence. But here's what they won't show you. Miguel Santos stealing anything, because there's no footage of it, no witnesses, no confession. What they have is a theory, and you don't convict a man based on a theory. The prosecution's case is methodical. Day 1, weight discrepancy. Day 2, financial trail through the LLCs. Day 3, forensic evidence, the RFID disruptor, currency die. Day 4, the notebook. Prosecutor Andrea Walsh holds it up. This notebook was found in Mr. Santos's apartment. His handwriting, his signature. It details every step of the heist. Security schedules, camera blind spots, timing sequences. This isn't speculation. This is a confession written in his own hand. Day 6. Miguel takes the stand against his lawyer's advice. Under cross-examination, Prosecutor Walsh corners him. Mr. Santos, where did you get the money to purchase the car lot in Henderson? I'd been saving for years, working 2 jobs. You made $32,000 a year. The car lot cost $480,000. Where did the money come from? After a long pause, Miguel answers, I wanted to give my daughter a future. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have. The jury sees right through it. After 8 days in closing arguments, the jury deliberates for 6 days. On April 4th, 2024, at 2:30 p.m., they return. On all counts, guilty. Miguel closes his eyes. Sophia breaks down crying. April 22nd, 2024. Sentencing day. Judge Morrison delivers the sentence. Mr. Santos, you stand convicted of one of the largest thefts in this state's history. The court must balance your lack of prior criminal history against the severity and premeditation of your crimes. You are hereby sentenced to 23 years in federal prison with no possibility of parole for the first 10 years. You are ordered to pay restitution in the amount of $17 million. Do you have anything to say? Your Honor, I know what I did was wrong. I know I broke the law. But I also know that my daughter's at Stanford right now, studying to become an engineer. She's going to help build the future. And I made that possible. I don't expect anyone to understand. I don't expect forgiveness. But I want Sophia to know that every choice I made was for her. And I'd do it again. The court notes your statement. Bailiff, please remand the defendant. Miguel is led away. Sophia watches him go. The remaining $35 million, never recovered. Sophia Santos visits her father every month. 3-hour drive to the federal prison in Victorville. They sit across from each other with a phone and a glass partition between them. He asks about her classes, her research, her friends. He wants to know everything, and she tells him, because despite what he did, he's still her dad. Are you angry with him? An interviewer asks her years later. Every single day. He lied to me. He committed a crime. He's going to be in prison for most of my 20s and 30s. I'll graduate, get my first job, maybe get married, have kids, and he'll be watching from behind bars. So yes, I'm angry. But, Sophia cries, but I'm also at Stanford. I'm studying engineering. I'm going to design sustainable infrastructure for developing countries. I'm going to change lives, and I can do that because of him. He gave me this chance, and I hate that I'm grateful for money he stole. The Silver Mirage Casino never recovered the remaining $35 million. The FBI believes Miguel has it hidden in cryptocurrency wallets, offshore accounts, or buried somewhere in the Nevada desert. Miguel refuses to say, From his prison cell at Victorville Federal Correctional Institution, Miguel Santos watches as Sofia graduates from Stanford in June 2025. She sends him photos, her in her cap and gown, her diploma, her smiling with friends. He frames them on his cell wall. In a final prison interview, Miguel reflects on his choices. Do you regret it? I regret getting caught. I don't regret what I did. Even though you'll spend the next 23 years in prison, my daughter has a future. That's worth 23 years. What about the casino? The money you stole belonged to someone. It belonged to a corporation that makes billions exploiting people's addictions. I don't feel bad about taking from them. I feel bad about Sofia, about what my choices cost her. But the money? No. I don't regret that. The FBI says you still have 35 million hidden somewhere, do you? Miguel smiles. If I did, why would I tell you? Because it might reduce your sentence. I'm 48 years old. I'll be 71 when I get out. If I get out, the money doesn't matter to me anymore. But Sofia, she might need it someday. Her kids might need it. So no, I'm not telling anyone where it is, if it even exists. Agent David Martinez still works the case. Technically, it's closed. Miguel was convicted, but the missing money haunts him. $35 million doesn't just vanish. It's somewhere, in crypto wallets that we can't trace, in accounts under false names, buried in the desert, hidden in plain sight. Miguel Santos was smart enough to steal it. He was smart enough to hide it. And he's smart enough to never give it up. Michelle Harding, the head of security who cracked the case, still works at the Silver Mirage. I caught him, but he won. He achieved what he set out to do. His daughter got her education. His family's set for generations if they ever find that money. And me, I get to tell people I solved a $52 million heist. But the casino, they lost. Even with insurance, they lost. Because now everyone knows the Silver Mirage had a weakness. And weaknesses make people nervous. Detective Sarah Chen retired from Las Vegas Metro Police in 2024. This case taught me something important. The most dangerous criminals aren't the ones who look dangerous. They're the ones who look like everybody else. Miguel Santos delivered vegetables for 12 years. Nobody looked at him twice. And that invisibility was the greatest weapon he had. The Silver Mirage Casino overhauled their entire security system after Miguel's arrest. New cameras, new routes, new protocols. Vendors are now escorted at all times. Cash transports use biometric seals that can't be disrupted. The service corridor was closed permanently, but the casino still has delivery drivers. They still arrive at 4:30 in the morning with produce and supplies. And every time a delivery driver pushes a dolly through the loading dock, someone wonders, could it happen again?